Stewart! Yes! And surely that's the goal!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sensible Sunderland, our very first Christmas special. It's a Christmas special in the sense that we're recording it on the 23rd of December. Other than that, it's about as Christmassy as the Queen's funeral. It's been a while since we spoke to you all, just because business and, Christmas and everything else that goes on. But we have three games to talk about. A 1-1 draw with Bristol City at home from like a year ago, a very satisfying 3-2 comeback away at Swansea, and most recently beating Norwich 2-1 back on home soil in our last game before Christmas. We are light in our ranks again this week, as Dan has been struck down by a mysterious illness. What happens in Thailand stays in Thailand. Unfortunately, gonorrhea does not. As for Mark, he went to Germany last week to sample the Christmas markets, and his phone's been off since Friday. So we'll update you when we've got news of that. It is just me and Lee for the duration tonight, but that in itself does bring a bit of Christmas magic because, ironically, me and Lee are the two most likely from Sensible Sunderland who will get mistaken as elves. So, how are you, Lee? How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. I've got to say, I'm probably a lot better than Dan and Mark right now.
Yeah, it didn't sound well. I've been really ill this past week, to be fair. So if Dan's got anything what I've got, then he's in for a rough Christmas. Let me tell you, he's in for a tough old time of it.
A tough 2025 with HIV.
But we're still here. We've got three games to get through. Bristol City at home is the first game. If you remember anything about that, what can you remember basically? Because I'm pretty low on the ground with that one.
I remember a pretty sloppy goal from Bristol City. Paddy Roberts obviously finally getting off the score sheet with an open play goal, and obviously the injury to Tommy Watson. And when I think back, it was like that seems like such a long time ago now. Like I thought that was way longer than 3 games ago. But I wouldn't say we've missed him, but it would have been nice to have him getting some minutes under his belt as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just obviously you there mentioned about the goals. It kind of jogged my memory a little bit. It's a strange game to speak about now because like we've had two games since, so it kind of does change your perspective on it. But I mean, at the time, I was really, really frustrated because it felt like 2 points dropped, and I think they'd been walloped off somebody going into it as well the Saturday before. I think it might have been someone like Portsmouth, like someone down the bottom, had like
Yeah.
walloped them. So it was kind of like, oh, like for us to not be able to capitalize on obviously a team that's low on confidence, it was really disappointing. Obviously it was nice to get a late equaliser as it always is, and as you say with Paddy Roberts, nice for him to get a goal in open play. I think the game itself was pretty similar to what was the other game we drew? West Brom at home, the 0-0,
Yeah.
where it was just we struggled to break them down, and that was something I think we touched on that episode was like we're going to have to learn to do that quickly because I think a lot of teams now are going to just come to Sunderland with the intention of sitting in with a low block.
Yeah.
But again, to be fair to Bristol City, other than like Leeds and the top teams that we've played, I think they were the team that I think caused us the most problems, especially in the second half with the press. I thought we
It,
couldn't live with them at times. Like the goal that they scored, you could see it coming a mile off.
yeah, they were relentless in that press. But yeah, like you say, it was just disappointing. Like we should be able to turn over these teams. But I also look back at it now, and from the Stoke game, even that Bristol City result looks like a point gained rather than two dropped. With hindsight, yeah, we could have been 2 points better off, but at the same time, 10 points from 4 games is a really good return as well.
Yeah, like you say, you've got the games around it, and I think someone said earlier in the season, rather than take it game by game, I think you've got to divide the season into blocks and kind of
Mm.
look at each kind of 3 games, 5 games, and take the points from those blocks. So yeah, as you say, in surrounded by the points you picked up in other games, it's not really the end of the world. Although that night coming out of the ground, I was really worried because not only for the fact that I felt like at the time we had dropped 2 points, but it was also, losing Tommy Watson, because I thought that, to be honest, was what changed the game for us. Obviously, massive player to lose. I know he's only 18, but his performances in the games leading up to that, it was his spot to lose, wasn't it? We were saying on that left hand side when Bundle gets back. So just massive spanner in the works, really, with him going down.
I think with Tommy as well, he every game you saw him play, he was getting better and better, and defenders didn't know how to deal with him. And he was like, we've mentioned it before, but he was becoming that clone of Jack Clarke, where he was just cutting in on his right, taking a shot. We struggled from the minute he left the pitch in that game. We really did. Obviously, Mayenda went out on the left, I think. He was sat on the right, and then Roberts got brought on, didn't he? But we just didn't play a great game that day.
It was right in front of me when Tommy Watson went down. And at first, I just thought, because he had a collision with their fullback, and it just looked as though maybe he's where you jar your knee or something. It looked like that. And then he obviously went off for a bit of treatment, and then our physio sent him back on. So I was like, well, he obviously fucking broke his leg or something. Then if our physio sent him back on, and then he did. He literally, the ball came back in the play, and he just sat down. So I was like, oh no, here we go again. But what is it for him? 2 months, is it? 2 months?
Something like that, wasn't it? Something like that. But I mean, to be fair, it's already been 2 weeks, so, and I think we're due Mundle back. Obviously Pivera was on the bench at the weekend. That Samed is due back. Abdullahi, I think his name is. I probably butchered that, but like I say, we've got all these players coming back, so it's going to help us, because I think, looking at the bench over the past couple of weeks, I know how Sheesh has done particularly well, and we'll move on to him. But we've still got Royson on the bench, and we know he's not going to get minutes. You know what I mean? He's not getting ahead of Connolly. He's not getting ahead of Isidore Mayend or anybody like that. So it's we just need people who are actually going to be able to play and actually affect the game on the bench. And once we see these lads come back, we'll probably get a lot more from the last 25 minutes, half an hour kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, my big worry with the whole Mundle thing is there's talk that his comeback isn't going to be as far away as we initially thought. But my big worry was are we just doing this? Are we kind of fast tracking him back because we're missing Tommy Watson? I hope we're not, because that, obviously you've seen that when we were bringing players back last season too early, and it was just we did it with Jack Clarke, didn't we? Towards the end of the season, and do you know what I mean? It never seems to end well. So hopefully, if we are going to see Mundle and these other players, hopefully we're not just doing it to fill gaps.
To be fair, I don't think we need to either. And again, we'll come on to him again, but Mayenda, when he moved out onto the right against Norwich, played really, really well. In fact, he got man of the match, I think, from, I can't remember, Sky Sports or Sunderland put him as man of the match, one of them. But yeah, like I say, I don't think we need to rush him back. It's not urgent. Roberts is still doing Roberts things, and his final product's still a bit, but Mayenda is doing pretty well, so leave him there until Mundle's ready to come back.
Yeah, I think with Mayenda, he's done very well since he has come in on that left hand, right hand side, but he's obviously not a winger, is he? But so far that's kind of worked for him, because he's been so unorthodox, and I think he's caused a lot of fullbacks a lot of issues, because they genuinely don't know what he's going to do. He's got a touch of a better version, obviously, but he's got a touch of Abdullah Bar was the same. Where everything he did was really erratic, and it was
just pure chaos.
Yeah, it's honestly just pure chaos. That's what I think when I see him. But again, whether he's got enough to do it week in, week out, but he's obviously going to have to, isn't he? Until we get the lads back. At the time, obviously, that draw against Bristol City wasn't seen as a great result. It felt like 2 points dropped at the time for everybody. So it made Swansea, in my eyes, if we're going to kind of keep pace with the teams above us, it made Swansea a bit more of a must-win. So I was very concerned going to that, because we never do well down there. It always pisses down with rain. We always lose comfortably. And 20 minutes in, we're 2-0 down, a bit of a piss take. But credit the lads. This is what I would say is a promotion winning performance, in the fact that they just didn't give in.
Yeah, I mean, they had to show obviously a lot of character to get out of that situation that they put themselves in, because let's face it, it was two mistakes that led to their goals. And I'm not going to be overcritical of them because, like you say, they turned it on in the second half and got the result. But yeah, like I say, I was at 2-0 down. I was ready to just turn the TV off and I just thought it was going to be one of them days. Like I say, like a proper Southampton A1 kind of day.
Oh,
And honestly, I got that bad, but I was like, no, I'll just persist with this. The dog can wait for a walk, you know what I mean? But yeah, just two poor goals to concede, but to come back from that and like get your head back in the game because obviously young team they really could have just let their heads drop and just let the game go by them, but they didn't. They grabbed it by the neck, especially with Ballard getting that first goal because he proper throws himself at that.
yeah.
But then the second half, we just absolutely walked over them. And it was quite refreshing to hear from their manager as well. I don't know if you listened to that interview after, but that was really like quite good to hear from an opposition manager because usually it's our managers talking like that. But yeah, he was really complimentary of us. So
Yeah, we haven't been getting a lot of praise, have we? I think everyone we've beat kind of rather sourly gives us a review of, oh, well, they're not that good, or there's teams better than them in this league. So it was quite nice to be kind of spoken about so glowingly, really. You know what it reminded me of? Remember that Burnley game a few years ago where they beat us 4-2?
yeah,
They were 2-0 up. And then they just stepped it up a gear, and it was like, Jesus Christ, like this is the difference. I like the fact that we're at a level now. It kind of does show how we have progressed because we're at a level where we can do that to other teams. I always look at it in like, obviously you just need to win. Like people say, it doesn't matter how you win, which is true. But like, there's certain types of wins that do more for you. Like that there coming back from 2-0 down, not only does it does us the world of good because we think like, oh my God, like we don't know when we're beaten. It's so demoralizing to like other teams to say that as well because they'll have been watching like Gillette Soccer Saturday or something, and they'd have been like Sunderland 2-0 down, get in, and then they'd have been like, oh fucking hell, like they've come back, the jammy bastards. Like Leeds did it the other week. Leeds were beating Swansea, and then Swansea equalised in the last minute. You think, like, I was watching that thinking, get on Swansea. Then Leeds went up the other end, scored straight away, made it 2-1. I was like, you jammy bastards. And it does just knock the stuffing out here. So it is nice to like that we're doing that.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, it was the last season in League One, and we were just waiting. Was it last season? Might have been the season before the last season. But Wigan kept doing it. Like Wigan were like we were just waiting for them to fall, like slip up, and they just kept like getting these lucky late goals, and they were constantly sitting at the top of the table because of it, and we were just waiting for them to fall, and they just didn't. But like I say, it does especially as you get into the later stages of the season, you're just like, they've done it again. Like, how have you managed that? but like you say, teams will be looking at us the same way, especially after the last 4 games, being like, wait. It doesn't matter if we go ahead. They're going to score at some point. They're going to get a point against us, or they're going to come back and beat us in that second half and just blow us away. So teams must be worried about playing us now.
Yeah, but it's a cracking position to be in. Also, credit to Dan Ballard, because I think he becomes the first Sunderland player since Charlie Hurley to score from a set piece in a game.
Surely. The one I can think of that sticks out in my mind.
I mean, it wasn't really Charlie Hurley, Lee. That was me being silly. But
to be honest, I can't really remember. But the one that sticks in my head was it Lamine Cohn against Everton?
Ah, yes, I remember that well.
The Sam Allardyce season.
Aye, relegated the match.
Yeah. I think it was that one. But like I say, I mean, there's bound to be something before then. Ross Stewart's bound to score from a corner or a free kick or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't a corner, but to be fair, I've just thought there when I've said set piece. Turkin against Sheffield Wednesday, first home game of the season.
I was thinking that. I was like, it's ridiculous.
So really, it's not that long. It's not that long ago, to be honest.
To be fair, though, I get what you're saying because especially like I would say the past 2 seasons, we really haven't scored a lot from corners or set pieces. And in fact, I think last season there was like a stat that we were the lowest scoring team from like dead balls. So, but yeah, like I say, I get your point, but just really poorly put across.
Like most of the things I say on this podcast, really. So I mean that obviously that set us on our way. That got us back to 2-1. But then second half, like you say, it was all Sunderland wanted. But I don't know about you because to be honest, I had quite a bit of drinks. I was out when I was watching the match on Saturday, the Swansea game that is, and I didn't realise our second and third goal were so close together. They didn't.
Oh, it was
There was,
like
there was
2 minutes, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like 2 minutes between them. But in my head, it was at least 10. So when I checked the next day, I thought, "Fucking hell!" Like, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
because I think what like made it seem longer, but realistically it was actually a shorter period of time on the pitch was the Swansea subs that came on.
Is that what that would be it then?
So obviously that made it think feel like a bit longer. But yeah, what can you say about Dan Neil's goals or
Yeah,
goal even?
yeah, he doesn't do that enough. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
again, I'm pleased that he's kind of shown that kind of initiative to do it
mm,
because was it Mark a couple of weeks ago was saying in one of them he wanted like a really commanding, authoritative Dan Neil performance where like he rolls forward, gets in the box and that,
yeah,
which obviously we say he's not done enough of, but I defend Dan Neil and say, well, that's just because he's been asked to play deeper. He doesn't have the license to do it. But it was so good to just see him just take a touch, get his foot through the ball. Like he needs to do more for that, more for me.
I mean, to be fair, like when you watch it back as well, obviously you've got I think it was Grimes who was like ready to lean into him, and he hits the ball. And he's probably off balance, like because he's fighting with the Swansea player, and he still rattles it in off the bar. You know what I mean? So it was an unbelievable goal. But again, I agree. I do think we need more of those performances, and we haven't seen a lot of that this season. But I think the past 4 games, we've seen a hell of a lot more from Dan Neil this season, and he's been back to what we expect of him. And I think that's the problem with Dan. We expect maybe a little bit too much of him from at times, and
Yeah.
because we know what he can do,
Mhm.
it's just. And I think we are starting to see that now. To be honest with you, I just do think he had a poor start, but for whatever reason, whether it's out of position, the captaincy, whatever. But I do think we are getting Dan back to his best. So happy tears.
Yeah, these last 4 games, I would say he hasn't put a foot wrong for me.
No,
That Bristol City game was probably his best game for a while, and then he's followed that up with 2 more top class performances.
yeah.
Obviously, the winner is just Job doing Job things in it,
Oh,
really.
like just I mean, everything about this goal, and you'll heard the interview after and everything, how he's told his daughter keep making them runs to the near post, and then Chris Rigg obviously setting up the goal. Paddy Roberts was involved in it, and it was just like this is the Sunderland you want to watch at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like just young players doing really well, arriving at the box on time, good ball by Rigg, just pure great football to watch at the minute.
have you noticed in the celebrations, Joe Bellingham literally saves Chris Rigg's life?
I didn't say it at first, but I think Rig posts on Instagram or something about it,
Yeah,
and I was like, what's he talking about?" I had to go back
same.
and watch it. I was like, "What's he talking about?" And then he proper like flips himself over.
I watched it and I gasped out like when I saw him do it. I was like, "Ooh, ooh," because he probably could have hurt himself. Oh,
But yeah, I mean, Bellingham just arriving at the right time, and he doesn't need to smash it. He just like uses the pace of the ball to put it in the back of the net. And
yeah,
I mean, to be fair, Swansea are all over the place. Like there's too many
yes.
people
There's
going
no
into
way
his
that ball
door,
should have found
and
him.
I'm just
Yeah,
like, I was just like, Christ, like if that was Sunderland, I would have been me control would have been through the TV. I'd have been that annoyed. But
yeah,
like I say, we need more of that from Job as well. And I know he got a good goal on against Norwich, but like these are the kind of things that you can tell they're learning from. Like we've done this right, we need to keep producing that. We've done this wrong, we need to like stamp that out, kind of thing. And you can see
mhm,
it all the time now.
yeah. It was a very. I mean, I hate doing this because I hate like whenever he does anything good and everyone makes the standard like Jude Bellingham comparison, and like you get it on like Twitter where other teams fans will go like, "Oh, you wouldn't be saying he was anything special if his last name wasn't Bellingham." So I hate the fact I'm doing this, but when I saw that goal, it very much felt like a Jude Bellingham goal because it was like just the way he arrives in the right
Mm.
place at exactly the right time. Like how many times we've seen him score goals like that for England?
It, I mean, I don't watch Real Madrid games, but I do
No.
occasionally get the highlights on Instagram or whatever if I'm just scrolling. And you see it all the time. He's just constantly arriving in that spot, and he's been a menace at that like number 10 position. and he gets a lot of goals from it. And like you say, if Job can produce half of that, he's a hell of a player. And all these people who do say that, he's nothing special, he's only a name, haven't watched him play. They haven't got a clue.
Just waste. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you want to see him stay at Sunderland for as long as he can. I hope we do get to see him in the Premier League with us, but it'll not be till he goes to like Liverpool, or he might even go to Madrid. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe Dortmund. Obviously, he's being touted, but that's when they'll kind of realise, and it'll be similar to what we're seeing with Diallo at the minute with Man United. It'll be another kind of like "we told you so" moment for the Sunderland fans, I think.
Watching Diallo over these past couple of weeks, because obviously I've enjoyed all of the football because we've been winning. But watching him, he's such a special player, and I miss him so much.
Yeah, every goal I think I see him score now, I'm just like, yeah, we're not getting them back ever.
Yeah.
But I good away win, really, really good scenes, really kind of strong. And another thing, it's that I was reading afterwards, because I think Dan asked the question on the Sensible Sunderland page, when was the last time he came back from 2 goals down? And to be fair, the answer that he gave this week was correct, because it was the MK Dons Cup game. But league-wise, it was even longer. It was West Brom, 1998, 26 years. So again, little things like that. You don't want to get too ahead of yourself because one result, but you're thinking like little things like that kind of make it feel like it could be something different, couldn't it? Like, could be something special this year.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've been thinking about this recently. Like, even if things didn't work out, you know what I mean? We didn't get the playoffs or whatever you want to, didn't get the automatics. It's still been a good season, really good season of progression. When you think about where we were, this time last season, we'd just been beaten 3-0 off Coventry. We had Michael Beale in charge, so it's been I would say 6 months of pure progression from that. So, and nobody expected Lebris to have us in this position either. Like, when he came through the door, not a single person would have said we'd have been top at the first 2 or 3 international fixtures, and we'd be sitting 4th at Christmas. So, like I say, it's been a joy to watch this season compared to last. So, happy days.
Yeah, like we're all a little bit underwhelmed when he came in, but that's just nothing against him. It was literally just because we didn't really know anything about him. But
yeah,
to be fair, we always said like it would be typical of Sunderland to go and get someone you've never heard of, and for them to be the ones to do it. So if anything, it's more kudos to Christian Speakman and obviously the rest of the hierarchy, really.
Even the recruitment this summer, when you think about the players who've actually played a game for us, like Metham, it's been really, really good. Like Metham, for me, he's been our best player this season, and that's saying something considering some of the performances that people put in. But again, just like I can't wait to see some of these other lads on the pitch. I'm really, really looking forward to that Samed being on the pitch, because I just think he's going to be a midfield destroyer, which we do need.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think as well as that, I think Rig needs a break. I don't think we expected him to play this much football in the season. Obviously, he's done well, but I think we would have probably taken him out of the firing line a little bit. But obviously, we haven't had the bodies to do it. And Brown got injured, 4 weeks ago or something, so that hasn't helped it either.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll move on to Rig, because I'm the same as you. I felt like he would have had a rest by now. Especially I thought Saturday he would have dropped him. But to be honest, Saturday for me was probably his best game for a while. I mean, that Norwich game, I think at the start of this little window, like the Bristol City, Swansea and Norwich kind of 3 games, I think on paper you might have said Norwich probably the toughest one, just based on who they've got playing for them, like where they are, and that sort of thing. But it was another home game where I thought it might have been similar to Bristol City, where it was kind of like we just didn't have that cutting edge, did we? We didn't have that end product. And, find ourselves 1-0 down out of nowhere. So it was, again, it looked like it was going to be a very frustrating afternoon again.
We need to stop giving away these sloppy goals. Like that's probably the only thing that's frustrating us at the minute. These really bounce around, hit a couple of bodies, and then just somebody gets a toe on it and it ends up in the back of the net. It's just, if we cut them out, because if you think about back at the beginning of the season, we kept 10 clean sheets. We need to get back to that, because we've really fallen away in our defensive performances. I don't know whether it's because we've had a bit of inconsistency with like the back four. Obviously, you've had Ballard's been out, Meffen's been suspended, Hume's been ill, O'Nine's been ill, Serkin's been Serkin broke his wrist, I think it was. So I don't know whether that plays a little bit into it, but to concede those kind of goals, it's just a bit like, for fuck's sake, not again, man. But I do think we played the first half again was shocking, and again the weather probably played a little bit of a part in it.
Yeah.
Like the Stoke game, it wasn't kind to anybody, and I thought the quality of football in the first half from both sides was dog shit. To be honest with you, it was a really hard watch.
So I'll ask you then in reference to that goal. I mean, you kind of alluded it, so I'll change my question a little bit. That goal against Norwich, and particularly the first goal against Swansea, how much is Pato to blame for those two goals specifically? Because there's obviously, I know we always go about Pato, we're going about his kicking and all sorts. Like, we've all defended him and said, like, look, as long as he's stopping shots, like, that's all you want to do. Like, he's still a very, very good shot stopper. But like things like that, where from set pieces and what have you, where he's just not commanding enough of his box, is that another issue that might hinder us as the season goes on, or do you think we've got enough to get by?
I think we've got enough to get by with him. The Swansea goal in particular, I was really pissed off with Pato because that's his ball to go and claim. Like,
yeah,
he should be there. He should be getting us. Like, but all of a sudden he goes, and then all of a sudden he starts running back, and I'm like, well, you've already made your move. You can see that none of your defenders are getting there. So what are you doing? And obviously
it's like a FIFA glitch, wasn't it?
Oh, honestly, like, yeah, my frustrations with our defence have been pretty bad over the past couple of weeks. But I don't know how much he's to blame. He's probably a 50-50 bit against the Norwich goal because we had chances to clear it. And I thought there was a couple of half-assed legs thrown out just to try and get it away. And obviously it just lands at the Norwich player's foot and he just pokes it home after I think that was his second attempt at it as well. So it's just like, I don't know, I can't really solely blame Pato for that, but there's an element I think he should have come out and claimed that as well.
If you think of not just Pato, but if you extend that question to the attacking side of the team, I've seen a few people even after sort of coming from behind in the last couple of games, I've seen a lot of people say like attacking quality that we had at the start of the season, that seems to have dried up a little bit as well, and we don't look as fluid as we did at the start of the season. What do you think that's down to then as well? Do you think that's down to just teams figuring us out? Do you think, like you say with the defence, it's down to attacking players, having to be chopped and changed all the time? What do you think has led to that kind of drop off in attacking mentality?
I mean, to be fair, when we started the season, and obviously we were like pretty much up until the Portsmouth game, we were just scoring for fun kind of thing. Obviously, you had my end missing, and I thought he was really crucial to our press at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Like in that like striker role, he was crucial, and I don't think Isidore has the same skill set as my end of the two very, very different players. But I also don't think we're playing to Isidore's strengths now. Like, we're constantly passing it into his feet. We should be clipping it over the top, get him running in. And I know he
likes to get behind, doesn't he?
He did miss that chance yesterday, but I also think he's low on confidence as well because he hasn't scored in 5 or 6 now.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of confidence with some of our players. And again, obviously we've lost. I think Mundle, by the way, I do really think we miss Mundle because he's so creative down that left, and he did so well up until his injury. So I think they're probably two, 3 biggest things that have changed or happened.
With Isidore as well, because I think everyone, we've obviously seen him. He's like obviously a character. He seems to just love life. So it's kind of hard to get annoyed at him sometimes. But do you think we need more from him? Because there's times, I think I've spoke about it in previous weeks, where like he seems to be looking for free kicks quite a lot, and that sometimes gets me back up a little bit. There's certain things he does, and I'm just thinking he looks too lethargic sometimes, and it doesn't sit well with me, especially when it's your striker.
See, I don't know. Like, I mean, I love him because obviously he is that character, like you mentioned. But I think he's going to be one of these strikers where his goal comes in, like, he might score like 5 goals in 3 games kind of thing, but then he'll go like 4 or 5 games without a goal. I think he is going to be one of them kind of players. I think his decision making's lacking a bit.
Yeah.
There's times where I think he should have shot, or he should have taken that extra touch, like on that one where he's won the ball, he's done the hard bit. I think if he goes an extra step, takes that extra touch, he then forces the tackle, and he probably win a penalty off it.
Yeah.
But instead, he blazes it over the bar. So there's that kind of thing with Isidore. I think he needs to get used to life in the Championship as well, because I don't, for the size of him, because he's a big lad, you know what I mean? I don't think he wants the fight as much, and I think he's going to have to get used to that very quickly.
Yeah, you bang on. Like, I think it is a decision making issue with him. He seems to me, because if you think of the goals he has scored, they're all like really like aesthetically like pleasing goals.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the chances he's had where he scored. They've all been ones where like he hasn't had that long to think about it.
yeah.
So is he, maybe because of his like just decision making, is he one of these players where like when he has too much time to think about it, maybe? Because if you think that chance he put over the bar on Saturday, which I'm not saying was an easy chance, by the way, but like if you think there, he's obviously getting ahead of his man. He's had like 2 or 3 touches, and at that point, maybe is he thinking, "Shit"? Do you know what I mean? Is that what he maybe needs to
Yeah,
do?
it's just like a deer in the headlights, almost like fucking hell. I've got to do something now. I do think that about him a bit, to be honest with you. Because like you see, you think about I can't remember who he scored it against, but you think about that volley that he scored, where it comes over his shoulder. You know what I mean? Like he's clearly got like that finishing trait to him. Like he can bang a goal in from anywhere, because he scored some unbelievable goals for us. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it's the simple ones that he seems to miss, and it's quite frustrating, because he gets into these positions all the time, and he's constantly making the runs. And I said a couple of weeks ago that as long as he's getting the chances, I'm happy, because he's still doing the right things, and eventually he will put one of them away. And I've got no doubt over the next 3 games he will get a goal, because he's doing the right things over and over and over again. He just needs that one goal, and he'll be firing again.
Whatever we said at half time, though, against Norwich definitely seemed to work, because we looked a different side when we came out. It was obviously a very scrappy game, not helped by a pretty hard, happy referee as well, would you say?
I thought it was nuts. Like, I thought like there was certain tackles that went in, particularly in the first half. Like Ballard got kicked in the head, right?
Yeah.
And I know Ballard puts his head down, but Ballard's like what, 6'3", something like that, 6'4".
Like regardless, your boot's got to be high regardless, whether he's putting his head down or not high. Exactly.
Yeah. And then, like I say, I think particularly in the first half, we got dragged into this little feud. Especially with that Borges Sainz or Signs, however you pronounce it. But I was just like there was one bit where O'Nien just catches him in the face with his arm or his hand, back of his hand or whatever it was.
Oh, and he went down like a sack of shit.
He went down like he'd been punched off Mike Tyson kind of thing, and I was just like, what on earth are you thinking you were doing here?
Yeah.
Like he just wanted to get O'Nien sent off, but he and I was pretty much all game. The ref just was just so trigger happy with these cards. It was unbelievable. After I was before the red card, I was adamant somebody was getting sent off.
With me, what did it? Because I didn't go on Saturday because I was ill, and I think I probably wouldn't have noticed if it was at the game, but like I felt like I was kind of like less biased, if that makes sense, because I was kind of watching it from like a different perspective, and like I didn't have the crowd around us and that like influencing me, but like I felt the referee could have actually booked a few players earlier in the game than he did. And I think because he didn't do that, he kind of let it get out of hand a little bit, to the point where he then had to start booking players. It was like once he booked one, because he didn't book, so the first player he booked, I think, was Isidore in like the 42nd minute. And then the rest of the game, I think he shows like 10 cards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it was as if he was just like damage limitation. Like he'd backed himself into a corner where he was like, I'm going to have to book you, and you now. And it was ridiculous. Really didn't help. He even had to go at Labrie.
Labrie did nothing. But again, it was that Borges Sainz just like twisting. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it was with that ref, because it felt almost like he's one of these refs who just loves to make it about himself.
Yeah,
I almost felt like he had a card bet on, to be honest with you, like the way he was going on, because some of them were not cards, like
that's
nowhere near either.
it.
Um,
Match fixing allegation coming out
oh,
on Sensible Sunderland here.
but like it wouldn't have surprised if that came out, like 100%. But yeah, yeah, the ref really, really. I thought he ruined the game, to be honest with you, because
Yeah,
there was points where advantage could have been played and the football would have been a bit more free flowing, and he just stopped it at every opportunity.
that Cordoba though, who he sent off, like they were two yellow cards, so he got them right. I'm not saying that all of his bookings are wrong, but even he should have been booked twice before he was. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
little things like
yeah.
that. You can think like, what are you doing? Like the ref's making it hard for himself, nobody else.
If I was a Norwich fan and Cordoba had charged, like he's a centre back and he's charged up the field and tackled Neil and missed
Mm.
the tackle completely, I'd have been furious. Like I really would have been because you know you're on a booking. So what on earth are you doing out of position, flying into a tackle that you don't need to make to get yourself booked again?
Yeah, it's very much like what Dan Neil would have done, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
an old
yeah,
Dan Neil challenge, like daft. Um, but I just want to turn around. I think obviously I want to. I mean, sending off obviously did help because 10 against 11. But I always feel like with Sunderland, we never seem to make the extra man advantage count. Like, do you know what I mean? We always seem
yeah.
to like make it hard for ourselves. But I thought on Saturday, I thought even before sending off, I thought once we'd equalised, I was like, there's only ever going to be one winner here. And we just kept going and going and going. And obviously, very, very clever finish again from Job. There was a touch of offside about it. I think the Norwich fans were fuming because they felt it was offside. But I've seen a still. I've seen someone's drawn the line.
Yeah.
And he's just on like, so it's a good spot from the linesman.
Well, like you said, the linesman did really well because I think it's Isidore is in front. So Isidore is offside, but he's just ahead of their last defender. So he
Mhm.
could have quite easily thought, well, if he's offside, then the player behind him is. But obviously, he's kept his flag down. Job's obviously chopped his man and then just put it into the far post. Um, yeah, really good goal. Really good decision from the linesman. So I can't complain at all. I was laughing because there was one Norwich fan on X kicking off it. Oh, he's a mile offside. Well, when you look at the still, he's absolutely nowhere near offside, to be honest with you. So
Again, though, we hung on. We made it
yeah,
7 points from 9, which obviously, I mean, I said leading in when we said like, what do you want for next 3 games? I did say 9 out of 9. I know that probably sounds a little bit like I'm asking for a lot there, but still think the context of the 3 games as a whole, that
mm,
Bristol City result isn't the end of the world.
no,
But I still think we need to just be a little bit cautious of the fact that like we struggle to break a team like that down, and that's still going to be a problem that we need to address going forward when other teams come to the stadium light as well.
when we get some of these players back, and people are actually playing in the right positions, and we can rest a couple of players, I think you will see more of like the start of season Sunderland.
Mhm.
Um, I just like you see some of these lads are going to be out on the feet. You know what I mean? Riggs played pretty much every game. Job's played. Oh, like I know he got suspended for 3 games, but he's played every other game and pretty much for the full games in those as well. Dan Neil again had a suspension, but played the majority. There's for whatever reason they've missed maybe the odd game here and there, but like all of them have pretty much been the spine of the team all season. So it's a long season, even up to this point. So I think we're probably feeling the effect of that a little bit. I just think we need a couple of quality additions in the transfer window, and some of these bodies back, like even Brown. Brown will be a massive help at the minute. Once we get these back, see how we get on from there. But I do think we'll get back to our best, even though we are still winning with. I wouldn't say a scraping because we've deserved everything that we've gotten so far, but you can tell there's just we're losing a bit of energy at the minute.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people as well kind of bemoan the fact that we're falling behind too much. Which I guess, like, obviously, you'd like to keep a clean sheet, but to me, I just think it doesn't matter as long as you win the game. It doesn't matter if you go behind. As long as you go on and then win it, doesn't make a difference. But What are your thoughts on that? Is there an issue to be concerned with there, and the fact that we do keep falling behind? Like, will we run out of luck eventually, or do we have to get on with it?
To be honest, like these games, especially the Swansea one, like obviously we could have quite easily at that point just down tools.
Mhm.
I've already said it, but we shown character, and that's the most pleasing thing about these past four results. We've gone behind in every single one of them, and we've come back to get something from every single one of them. So it's a huge sign of the team's character to come back and do that week in, week out. And like you said, going 2-0 down more than anything, they could have quite easily just give up. They didn't. They
Mhm.
kept fighting. They got the 3 points, and it was a well-earned win in the end, to be honest with you. So I'm not overly concerned. I do want it to stop because it's just, like you say, the goals we're conceding are really sloppy and avoidable.
Yeah,
If we can cut out them silly mistakes, we will just go on and on and on and on and see where we climb up the table, because we've kept touch, which is what we've been saying for the past couple of episodes. We've every time, and unfortunately, Burnley keep getting wins, Leeds keep getting wins, Sheffield United keep getting wins. But as long as we keep it in that pack, we're getting a bigger point to seventh place. I think it's like 8 points. Now I might be
yeah.
wrong on there, but
Uh-huh.
we need to keep that gap big as well. So just keep getting the points on the board. We're doing really well. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like you say, game by game, see where we're at. But
yeah,
they I know what you're saying about obviously Leeds and Burnley, Sheffield United keep winning and winning and winning. They won't always though, and that's what we've got to just hang in there for. We've got to make sure we take that opportunity when it comes. I mean, we play Sheffield United in 2 games time, so that's is if we can get to them. What are we now? 2 points behind them? No, 5 points behind them. Two
5
points
points.
behind
Yeah,
Leeds. Yeah, but you never know. Like I said, I don't know who they've got on Boxing Day. I think. Oh, I think they actually. I've just looked there. I think they actually play each other. Burnley
well,
and I think Burnley and Sheffield United play each other on Boxing Day. Hang on. Aye. Thursday, 26th of December. Sheffield United, Burnley. I know
well, to
obviously
be
we've got to
fair,
go to Blackburn and get something, but one of them's
I
going to
mean,
drop
even
points.
yeah. I mean, to be fair though, I do fancy Sheffield United to turn Burnley over.
Yeah.
I mean, we played Burnley very early in the season. They were going through a bit of a awkward patch with players leaving and stuff.
Mhm.
But I've seen them since, and they don't look impressive to me. Like they're not blowing teams away. They're just scraping like the odd goal more than
Yeah.
the opposition kind of thing. Typical Scott Park football kind of thing. But
Mhm. To me, they don't seem to kind of have that willpower to like overcome a team or win a game when things aren't going for them. Like things have to be going right for them. If
yeah,
any kind of hint of adversity or something doesn't go their way, and they just seem to kind of like just give up. That's what I've noticed with Burnley.
yeah,
So I think Sheffield United will win that. I mean, a draw for us obviously be ideal. But we
yeah.
obviously got to go to Wewood Park and got to win that game really. But I'm kind of pleased they got beat on Saturday as well, because it just kills a bit of their kind of wind in their
Momentum.
sails, doesn't it, as
Yeah,
well? Yeah.
because they was
So
6 unbeaten, I think it was.
you're
So
absolutely
like
fine with the form team, yeah.
yeah, like I say, they're not easy pickings. That is going to be a difficult game. One I'm not particularly looking forward to be honest with you. But again, I think we can do it. I do
Yeah.
have real confidence in this team at the minute. And a point will be a good result. Point away from home is always a good result, and I'm not going to stick. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and go against myself with that. So say what we come away with, but hopefully the boys can do it.
Yeah. Should we do some Twitter questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Let's have a look then. So we forgot to put the post on Blue Sky asking for questions, so there'll be no Blue Sky questions this week. So apologies about that. But we've got a few on Twitter. We'll start with Ben McKevitt. Beyond right back cover for Hume, what do you think priority is for January? It's been a great year overall, even if the first 6 months was absolutely self-harm from the club. Those in charge seem to have learned a lot, and the recruitment has been consistently great. Mundle, Meps, Wilson, etc. Just getting back to the first base, what do you think in terms of January, other than right back? Is there anything else you think we do need to actively try and pursue?
I am really concerned over Pavetta. I think I would like another winger in there, but at the same time, I thought Mayan played really well there the other day. So it's a bit like if we're going to reduce his appearances to get another right winger in. Um, I don't know why, but Connolly seems to have disappeared as well. So I'm thinking, do the club really, or does Labrie really fancy him? Is he just going to be a year loan and a year contract, and he's going to be on his way in the summer? So is it worth getting another striker in? And again, whole of midfield. Samed was meant to be back in October, and we're now looking toward January, and we still haven't seen him. So
literally going to be 2025.
they're the three that
and we haven't seen them.
So they're the three positions that concern us. But I think there is options there. I just haven't seen them, or don't have full confidence in the fitness to kind of get behind them. So they're the three I'll probably go after, to be honest with you.
Would you have there was Barry?
Again, it's a big jump, you know what I mean? From what, League One to Championship, top end of the Championship, to really, really big jump. I don't know whether I would risk it, to be honest with you. I would rather get, not going to say a more experienced one, because I don't think we're going to go for that, but I would rather just get a more proven one in the Championship kind of thing.
Yeah, on the one hand, he could be our Kiefer Moore, because we've mentioned last season when Ipswich went and bought him, just to kind of give him that little bit of extra kind of something up front as well for games they needed it. He could be on one of, like, he could very well be our Kiefer Moore, but at the same time, like you say, he's not done it sort of at this level consistently enough, has he? You don't know what he's going to bring, really. It's all well and good doing it for fucking Stockport. Charlie White got 30 goals in a season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I always say with that one. But there's a lot of teams after him, mind. A lot of teams, there's a few Prem teams after him as well.
Well,
so
and like you say, he may well be a really good player, but I just think for where we are and what we want to achieve at the end of the season, that's a really, really big risk.
Next question. It's not really a question, but in the post, we said, what sort of year do you think it's been for Sunderland? And what January might hold, and about the next 3 games, etc. And Jeff.safc has said, well, I think it was bad for injuries, suspensions, plus we need a proven goal scorer, and don't take excuses from Isidore being off his game, and depending on Ballard and Job, even Watson. Plus, if you want Premier, you play together good. Plus, stick together. You want to? Sorry, Jeff. If you wrote that whole question yourself, because it really tonally changes about halfway through. It gets. I mean, the second half's all in caps. But no, I think in terms of the way the year's been, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, and it. We've had 6 months of shite, and then 6 months of, like you said, Lee, none of us could have really expected. So it's been a weird one, 2024, hasn't it?
Yeah, like you say, the first half of the year I've chosen to just like push to the back of my mind and regret. Otherwise, as someone said earlier on, I might self-harm. So, but the second's been really enjoyable. I know we've lost games that we shouldn't have lost, and we've probably thrown away points here and there. But to watch the progression of like the likes of Bellingham and Rigg, Mayenda even, it's been so good to watch. Even Mundle replacing Jack Clark, the way he started the season, he was on fire. It's just been really nice to watch, to be honest with you. And then you've got a new shithouse in Chris Metham, which loved him on Saturday, by the way, because I don't know if you saw when he scored the second goal, he ran over to Saints and he was giving it to him. So, yeah, there's been second half of the season, second half of the year even, a hell of a lot of positives. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and next year.
Yeah, it's all looking good. It could be worse as well. We could be Man City fans. Imagine how they're feeling.
Yeah. Cool, Man City,
yeah. Next question is from Andrew Verdian. I've asked this before and disagreed with the answer. Do we need a keeper that can kick to fit with our style of play? So, hang on. I think if you've asked us before, we probably would have said no, because we all more concerned about the shot stopping. So if you didn't like that answer, then this time I'll say yes, we definitely do need another keeper. One that does fit in with our style of play, and needs to be good at kicking. What about you, Lee?
You're not going to like my answer because as much as I do think that Pato is going to leave us soon because he's getting linked left, right, and centre with the likes of Spurs, uh, he is a good shot stopper. Again, like I said with Isidore, I just think he makes poor decisions, really, really poor decisions, and he's kicking shite.
Mind, I will say, if he goes to Spurs, that'd be the fucking stupidest move. The
I
way they
know.
play, Jesus Christ! Did you watch him against Liverpool last night?
Aye, was it last night or Sunday? Was it Sunday
Sunday.
last night?
Aye, it's
Well,
Monday today. Yeah,
I've
it's
been off.
Christmas, man. Hour. It's Christmas
I
hour.
will say
Honestly.
that I have been off since the 16th of November, so days are just blurring into one at the minute. But yes, I did, and um, Foster was just he didn't have a clue. Like I felt
Exactly.
so bad
So
for him to be honest with
imagine Pato doing
you.
that. Imagine what it would be like. It's
I,
frightening.
I will say though, with Patterson, like we kind of brushed over the rest of the Norwich game. To be honest with you,
Ah, yes. Save.
because I think it was Ballard gives the ball away late on after we'd scored the second goal, and Pato pulls off an excellent save. So as much as I've criticised him this episode, he does deserve the praise for when he pulls off moments like that, and that's what we need him to be there for. So that's why I would say no, we don't need another goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's exactly my feeling with it as well. Like I do genuinely like I do agree with Andrew in the sense that like we maybe do need someone who is a bit stronger with the kicking because it is imperative to the way we play. But to me, that's something that can quite easily be taught to Pato. Like, why can't Pato just work on his kicking? Because I
Yeah,
think the risk we run is we get rid of Pato for someone who is better at playing with the ball at the feet. They
but they're
might
not as
not
good as
make the
shot stopper.
saves. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not going to make those
yeah.
saves that Pato's making. I know it's all ifs and buts, but my worry is like what we gain in one play, we lose in another.
hmm
And that's my
I,
big worry. Like,
I think to be fair as well, I don't think we're going to go out and sign a goalkeeper because we've just tied that. It's a Matty Young
yeah, mhm.
who's out on loan. We've just tied him
uh
down to a longer contract, I think, and I think he's the succession plan. I think they
yeah,
really think a lot of him, so I can't see us going out and signing a goalkeeper when we've got Moore on the bench for one. We've got a great like shot stopper in Pato. Yes, he's
uh,
kicking us not the best, and we'll all agree on that. And then you've got this young lad who's doing really well. I think he's kept 4 clean sheets in a row now. So yeah, I can't see us going out and signing another goalkeeper either.
and I like Moore as well. To be fair, like
Yeah, when he come in when Pato was injured,
mhm.
he did all right. So I'm not overly concerned about the kicking. Yes, it pisses us off, and I'll agree anyone on that. But he does more than just his kicking. He's a really, really good shot stopper. And I think because he's made a couple of mistakes this season, we hound him.
Yeah,
But he is really good at what he does. So yeah, no way am I trying to sell Pato in January.
yeah. I'm the same. I feel the same as you. Last question is from Tony Byrne. 2024 summed up by Charles Dickens. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. Which by pretty bang on, to be fair.
That's spot on.
The best of times. It was the blurst of times. If you know, you know. Um, what an incredible turnaround it's been. He goes on to say, "Do you think we'll lose any key players in the January window?" I'm not concerned with January, in terms of losing players, because I think Mark said a couple of weeks ago that January is obviously always a bit mad for the transfer window, but it's always the teams that are struggling
Yeah,
who are looking for an impact signing. And as good as some of our players are, like a team that's struggling in the Premier League aren't going to go and sign Chris Rigg. Do you know what I mean? Or aren't
no,
going to go and sign Dan Neil, whoever, because they're not going to have that desired impact in a short space of time. The players that we've got, teams are going to need to have the patience to nurture them in the same way that we've done.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not concerned. Like, I don't know about you.
I know I'm the same. I also think that if we do sell anybody in January, because we know how stupid it gets, I think they're going to be paying silly money for them. And
Yeah,
at the minute with FFP rules about and PSR and whatever else they call it these days, I think teams are struggling a lot, like a lot.
yeah,
So I can't see anybody coming in January to try and buy a young, under 20 player to go straight into the first team and then expect them to make an instant impact in the team. So I'm not overly concerned because if we do sell somebody, I think we're going to get a bag load of money as well. So I just can't see anybody trying to pay like 30, 40 million in January. Really can't.
yeah. I'm the same. Like, so I have no concerns in terms of losing players for me. Like, I've got a question for you, Lee.
Alan.
Seeing as it's Christmas, if you could buy a Christmas present for any Sunderland player, past or present, what would it be? Should have asked you that before we went on, really, and you could have had time to think about it.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Like, see, if it hadn't been for the way he left, so my favorite Sunderland player up until he left was Darren Bent.
Yeah,
Just obviously great striker. For those of you who don't know, I didn't get into football until me teenage years, so I was quite late getting there. I think it was the season before Roy Keane got us promoted. Somehow I
I.
became a Sunderland fan in that season.
Mhm.
So like I kind of missed the Quinn and Phillips era, kind of it all. So I don't have a great affection for everything before that.
Yeah.
But when I saw Jibril Cisse, to be fair, I'm going to say Jibril Cisse, I'd buy him anything he wants. I forgot all about that man. I love that
I was
man.
surprised, when you said Darren Bent, I was like, not see, because you used to idolize Cisse back at
I don't
school.
know. I
You
don't know
loved
why.
him.
I did. Honestly, I'm just going to say I'll buy Jibril Cisse whatever he wants. And
In
considering he's a
fact,
DJ or something at the minute, I'll buy him a set of decks that he can.
I remember being in Greece with you, and I think
There was a
only
Panathinaikos cutout.
the only photo like, bearing in mind we were in sixth form or something, weren't we? So we did like a tour of Greece, like us and loads of others, and it was all these like Greek, like classical Greek ruins and all these like really
Yeah,
picturesque places we visited. The only thing Lee was adamant I took a photo of him next to was a cutout of Jibril Cisse in a
it was.
Panathinaikos club shop window. That was the
Aye.
only thing he wanted.
God, good times, eh? Good times.
I don't know what mine would be, to be fair. I'd probably just buy Nyron Nosworthy, like the complete set of Mr. Men books, because I think you'd like that. I can't explain why. I just think you'd get something out of
Yeah,
it.
it's the pictures
Um,
in it.
yeah, something for to enjoy. Um, but yeah,
If
just before we wrap up, because to be honest, another thing I will just let you in on. We were expecting to have Dan and Mark here, so I prepared us a little 10-question quiz to do. But I mean, there's only me and you here, and I know the answers.
you know the answers.
Yeah, so it's not going to work. But if you want, it's 10 questions. I can do it for you now, and you can just answer them, and the fans can have a go. The fans, the listeners can have a go.
I mean, I
Or
suppose I can see how they do against me.
yeah, or should we just hang fire for the next episode when the lads are back? We'll make that a New Year thing.
Yeah, we'll do it for a new year, eh?
Aye, right. Well, in that case, I'll just ask you about the next three. Blackburn away on Boxing Day, Sheffield United at home on New Year's Day, and then Portsmouth at home, I think, is the Sunday, the 5th of January. So New Year's Day is a Wednesday, and then Sunday against Portsmouth at home on the 5th. What are you thinking for those three?
Yeah, not. Oh, yeah. Is the Stoke City game a cup game in
Cup game,
between
but
on
it's
the
the week
29th?
after. Aye, but it's the week after. It's like the 12th or something, or the 11th.
So we've got Blackburn, Stoke, Sheffield United.
No, Blackburn, Sheffield United, Portsmouth.
Anthony, I'm looking at the fixtures.
Well, you're looking at them wrongly because that's definitely not our next three fixtures.
And right, hold on.
1 hour later.
So
Blackburn.
Blackburn on the 26th,
Oh my
Stoke on the
God.
29th.
Aye, yes, we do. We play Stoke in the league as well, don't we? Right. I'm leaving this
So
in, me. leaving this in. Right. Aye, so...
As you
I
can
thought
tell,
had it.
we were very, very prepared for this podcast.
I was expecting a nice 3 points against Portsmouth coming up, me. Right, so fair enough. You got it right then. You win this round, Lee. Blackburn on Boxing Day away, Stoke away on the 29th, and then Sheffield United at home on the 1st of January. What are you thinking?
I would have been more comfortable if that Blackburn game had been at home in seeing 7 points. But I don't know. I can generally see us only getting 5 from that. I think 2 draws and a win against Stoke. And to be honest, I don't think that's the worst set of results in the world. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope we get more, but that's really, it's a difficult run that with the form that Blackburn have been on. And obviously Sheffield United are just starting to creep away from everybody now.
I think 6 points, but I think a lot of people really aren't asked if we win the league or finish second. But to me, I just think it'd be a shame to go all the way like as far as we've come halfway through the season, being so close to the top 2 to like fall away now. So I want to keep on against them as much as I can. So I think 6 points, but I think it's important that 3 of those points come against Sheffield United. We can't let Sheffield United extend any more of a lead over us. Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
And then we play Portsmouth on the 5th of January. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I will say, though, just quickly, like I know it's been public knowledge for months, but now that it's closer, it's really rattled me that Sheffield United kick-off time. Like, I'm livid about
8
it.
o'clock
8 o'clock on New Year's Day. So I know obviously other fans are going to take the piss and be like, well, Sunderland empty seats, oh, they can't even sell out top of the league. But like, Sky, through nothing other than greed, have taken what'll have been our biggest and best game of the season atmosphere-wise, and they've ruined it all to be on the telly. And I can guarantee that ground will be probably no more than half full, because the amount of people I know who physically can't go. It's not that they don't want to go, they physically can't, because they literally can't get to the stadium. We'll wrap it up there, though. To be honest, just want to thank you all for listening again. I know we might have skimmed over some stuff in those games, but again, some of them were a while ago, and it's Christmas in it, so just don't have a go. We'll, like I say, we'll probably do that quiz in the new year when the lads are back, and we'll try and get back on it more professionally in the new year as well, once things are back to normal, and we'll hopefully not leave it this long between episodes again. There's not a bad Sunderland podcast out there, to be honest, and we know that you're really spoiled for choice, so thanks again for giving us your time. And I know what I've just said about not leaving it too long between episodes, but we'll probably be back with you after the Blackburn and Sheffield United games in the new year, and the Stoke game, I've now been told, thanks to Lee. So it'll probably be another 3-game episode then. So until then, there's nothing really left to say apart from just have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see everybody in 2025. Have a good New Year. See you then.
When I get there, I am always I am on my way. I'm the dream boy, up home, paint your wagon, come along. Where am I going? I don't know. When will I be there? I said, what will I get? I ain't a quick to say. Hey, but who gives a damn where I'm going? Where am I going? I don't know. Deep one again.